Well, hello everybody and welcome back down into the Dungeon Gardens, where today I am unboxing a new toy that I got in the mail. Got that from Amazon. Basically it looks like it's a fake AeroGarden, which is why I got it, because I can't afford the real thing. I can tell just looking at it online that there are a couple of places where it's going to fall short, but I don't care because ultimately I want to sprout seeds with it, not grow actual plants. So let's open this up, find out what's inside the box. Alright, let's start this video off with a vote. Who else thinks this looks suspiciously photoshopped? Awful lot of maters on that. Alright, so out of the box. You know what, let me grab the tripod. Okay, so as I'm trying to get into this, let's talk about why I got it. It's supposed to be pretty efficient as far as electrical use. Information online claims it uses 8 watts of power, so that works for me. Y'all know I like to keep it cheap, and LEDs are one of my favorite ways to do that. Okay. Fairly well packaged here. Come on. Good thing I got the tripod and I'm not trying to do all this with one hand, because that would never have worked. Okay, we got a little box. Since that came out first, what do we got? Power supply. Always good to have a way to plug it in. Alright. Off to the side for you. Hopefully I won't need to return this. Directions, instructions, but that's like cheating, so you know, we'll just save those for if I can't figure it out without them. Okay, nothing else in there. I think this is our light bar. Nothing else in there. Drop to the side. Fairly well packaged. I mean, that foam was definitely holding everything in nice and tight. That seems fairly sturdy. I believe this goes all the way around. Nope, just straight up and down. Okay, still pretty cool. A little power supply plug at the bottom there. Off to the side. Alright, let's just get rid of the crinkly stuff now. Our little planter boxes. It says open, I'm trying to. There we go. Interesting little foam pad there. Vermiculite to go inside it. And then there's the cotton at the bottom. Alright. Moment of suspicion that, yeah, I'm probably going to end up reading the directions. I'm guessing this will open up the same. Oh yeah. Okay, off to this side. And okay, so far so good. And here we have our little fill cover. Pretty straightforward. I was wondering what the light would plug into, but it doesn't really plug into anything, just kind of inserts into place. You should want to open this up before you put your little garden boxes in there. I'll have to see if I can tighten that. Not really a big deal. That's kind of fun though. Alright. Yeah. I think those go back in there. That doesn't fit in the bottom, so ultimately I am probably still going to end up buying one of the little AeroGarden sprouts, which is what I was looking at when this showed up. in my online searches. This is less than half the price. Came to 53 Canadian, so I have no idea how little that would be in real money, but yeah. In Canadian, it's not terribly bankrupting. Plus, I got it from Amazon cards from that silly little swagbuck site that I recommended to you guys a while back. So essentially, this is for free for putting a laptop to work like a little penny grinding robot. Y'all can ask me about that if you want more information. I'm happy to share. Anyway, so that is basically that. Not quite sure about these. So, I need to plug this in, need to put some water into it, and see where it goes from there. Alrighty, now I've got this thing plugged in, and I gotta say, first off, there's a reason things are cheap, so be aware of that when you go into it. Cheap does not necessarily make a good value. The plug on this, if we can get it, zoom that in a little bit. The plug on this doesn't exactly sit very well. I would like to see that more secure. Hopefully when I do get an actual AeroGarden sprout, this will not be an issue. That, yeah, not too much of a concern, but clearly not a top quality device right there. Now this was kind of loose, still is kind of loose, but it can be tightened up with a broken tip knife, or better yet, a proper Phillips screwdriver. Being me, I'm just going to go with what I have on hand, or in this case, in my pocket. So, whatever. Works a little better, that's the bit that matters there. Now, we need to test the light, so let's unplug this fluorescent. Alright, that still leaves us some pretty strange light. But I'll turn this on. I'll try and turn that on. There we go. And I'll turn this off. So here we have the light from the little, what is this? Indoor Green Garden. No brand name. Enjoy technology. Enjoy life. I like the philosophy. But yeah, nice and cheap. Swivels around, so it could be useful even just as a houseplant thing. I'm sure I'll find all kinds of uses for this. I guess that's the reading light though, so there's one more click. Or no, is that the reading light? That seems white, pretty white by comparison. Okay, we've got off, bright, blue. Either way, looks pretty good. And cue furnace. Alright, now I need to add some water to this thing. Online it said to add 2 liters, but I'm not necessarily sure I believe that. And I don't... Oh, there is a fill line. Alright, well somehow I'm not surprised that it warns against getting water into the power supply. So I'm just gonna slowly fill this up here. Hopefully we can see some water movement through the front there. I personally can't see jack from my angle. So let's pause and take a little look here. Can't see anything yet. This is going to take forever to fill this way. Perhaps we will get back to it closer to the end of the process. New plan, I'm just going to fill it from this spot here. Ooh, we got a beep. So I guess that's probably about where it's going to let me know it's running out of water. I was wondering when it was going to acknowledge that it didn't have any to begin with. Let's put this back in, see what that does to our line. Not a lot. Okay. Now, I'm just filling this with water from the dehumidifier. That way it's got none of the extra nutrients from the fish, as it were. I'll put a little bit more in there. And I don't have to have it, I don't have to worry about it having any of the treatments from town. Like, I don't think they use chlorine in our water. But, better to avoid it. So this is how I water my plants in the dungeon and how I top up my fish tank. Alright, that worked out well to top it up, and now I just got to figure out what I'm going to put in there to test it with. So in order to give this a fair test, I'm going to try some of these more professionally saved seeds here. Let's see, Caribbean red habanero pepper, 15 in here. We're going to put them all into this front bit, and I need new basil for the aquaponics, so we're going to try that in the back. Really, I'm just going to dump them right in here. Come on. Basil seeds are tiny, and these ones are particularly old, so I am viciously overplanting that space. Not a surprise to any of my regular viewers. We'll just kind of mix that under. See what happens with this. Okay, so basil on the one side, which doesn't really need any light at the moment. Peppers. Well, I'm just going to have to go ahead and say they're a little more generous than the packet claims there, so I won't be putting all of these pepper seeds in. I will be putting quite a few in here though. Again, on the overplanting side of things, probably more than should be in there. But that's kind of how I do things. And I could have 20 of these plants and still be pretty happy with that outcome. Never really have too many habaneros. I should have saved some of that vermiculite nice and dry for a cover-up layer. Didn't really think ahead on that one. Alright. Let's grab those sponges. Where did I put them? Where did I put them? Oh, I hate it when I do this to myself. So, just to keep it dark in there, I'm going to drop that on there, put that back in place. There you go. Don't really need to turn this on, but I did figure out how that light works. Looking at the end of it here, this is, you know, dark for off, pretty straightforward. The first click here is your growing light. Notice the hue of that light there, which definitely changes for your reading light here, which is just the white LEDs. I would show you that, but it's actually kind of blinding, so I went with the button display instead. Alright, right off the hop there are a few features of this garden that I actually prefer over the AeroGarden Sprout, and this is one of them. The fact that it's just whatever planting medium as compared to getting those little specialty order peat pucks or whatever they fill those things with. This is really nice. You can get vermiculite anywhere. You could use perlite, you could probably use gravel, probably use clay pellets. Pretty much good to go with anything. And with some, let's open this back up here. With something like this, it's going to be much easier to do any kind of cloning attempts because you can just stick your cuttings straight in and you don't have to worry about it. With the AeroGarden Sprout, it's about the same size, which is how I ended up getting this, and it comes with I think 3 planting positions in it, but there's a seed tray that I want to get, another 20 bucks after the original purchase, which is already overpriced in my opinion. But anyway, at best you're going to get 15 different planting locations in this. I put, you know, well over 15 pepper seeds in there. I'm sure well over 15 basil in that side, so I'm already getting more individual starts potentially out of this than I would have out of trying to use that other one properly. So yeah, half the price, better planting area. Now let's talk about some of the apparent downsides here. This does not have an air stone in it anywhere, no bubbler whatsoever. You're getting a lot less information as to what's going on internally, but there is a light here at the back that comes on red when it's getting low on the water, the green power light. As I mentioned before, let's slide this over here. I'm not at all pleased with the quality of the connection there. So yeah, another downside, as I kind of mentioned before, I'm really not thrilled. That is fully inserted into the plug. So be sure to dust it off, I guess. I'll have to be keeping an eye on that. And definitely don't want any strings or paper or whatever to fall into there. But for 8 watts, this sucker's pretty bright. I will definitely give it full marks for that. It's tiny. Definitely gets full marks there. The real question is, can it sprout anything? Because that's what I want it for. And then the follow-up, can it grow anything? So for now, this little indoor green garden, which still seems to be the only branding I can find on the box, can hang out here on the Darwin table while it does its sprouting thing. And I will figure out somewhere else to put it a little bit later on. I was going to tuck it into the shelf where my coffee mug is here, but it's not quite enough space in there. One downside of this versus the sprout, I guess, that I should have mentioned, that is much more adjustable in its height. This is what it is. You can change it, you can spin it, but you can't really adjust it. So that is interesting too. Like I say, I'm definitely going to be getting the competition, but I figured I would check this out since it was so comparatively cheap. And really, all I want is somewhere to start my seeds. So, yeah. And that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you for joining me down here in the dungeon as I check out this new toy that I done picked up for myself. It'll be real curious to see what sprouts out of that. Hopefully, I can get a really nice rate, sprout rate out of the habanero seeds that are in there, because yeah, you can never have too many habaneros. And if it does work for that, then I'm going to start throwing in some of these super hot seeds that you guys have been sending me over all the years that I just plain haven't wanted to waste with my random sprouting techniques. Alright, yeah, so that's a wrap. Thank you guys for joining me. I will see you Sunday for the full update on everything that's still growing on here as I try and deal with my winter blues. Take care, everybody.